Thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Charles Lwanga and Companions. Our top story tonight, voters in Mexico elect the first female president and the first Jewish leader in the Catholic country's 200-year history. Claudia Sheinbaum, the candidate for the ruling Morena party that was supported by the current president of Mexico, was announced the winner of the 2024 election on Sunday night with an overwhelming majority. In what promised to be a historic election with two strong female candidates in the lead, the Mexican bishops encouraged voters to participate on Sunday as record levels of violence throughout the campaign season made many fearful of going to the polls. But questions are mounting about the country's first female leader and her ties to the existing party, her secular outlook, and support for abortion, and how that will work while governing a country that is three-quarters Catholic. For analysis, we turn now to Jason Poblete, co-founder of the Global Liberty Alliance. Jason, always good to be with you. So what can you tell us about Claudia Sheinbaum's record as a leader, and what other significant positions has she held in Mexico?
Tracy, thank you for having us, and thank you for focusing on Mexico. I think this issue is much more pressing for Americans than what's happening even in Ukraine or in the Middle East. Mexico is our largest trade partner now. That's a good thing. We want to grow trade with Mexico. In fact, there was a trade agreement that former President Trump signed with the current president of Mexico. But there's a lot of work that has to happen to get us to that real comfortable phase where there's security, where there's trust between both countries. And right now, yes, people are spinning this as a historic win, but I'm more concerned about her record. She's been in the shadows of AMLO for a long time. She is a hard left official. Will she have her own personality, or will she be governing under the thumb of the ruling party? And to give you some context about what's happened, these elections were pretty significant for the left in Mexico. Not only did they win the presidency, but they met their longtime goal of controlling possibly the entire legislature. So what are they going to do with that? Are they going to change their constitution as they've been promising to do, that will then put the Supreme Court, which was one of the few good checks we had in Mexico, on power, on authoritarian rule, and make those post-elected? A lot of people think that will happen. So we're very concerned. We're watching carefully. As you said, she is not a Catholic, yet she was wearing a rosary during the campaign. She took a lot of political hits for that. She was wearing a crucifix. So in my book, she's slightly demagogic and been seeking power for a long time. So we have to wait and see. We have to give her a chance to see how will she unfold her administration. Will she govern in the shadows of this hard left president, or will she try and express some of her personality between now and the time that she takes power, which is coming up? By the way, in Mexico, one more little interesting fact point, that the legislature will take control a month before, in September, before she will take over. So AMLO will have 1 month to have a new legislature under his thumb. Maybe he will do certain things we have to keep an eye on. But for Americans watching this, it's important because of security, our border. It's important because of transnational crime. Keep in mind that 30% of Mexico, roughly, according to U.S. officials, is under the control of cartels or criminal elements. So it's a lot happened there. We're going to have to watch to see how she projects herself in this important position in Mexico.
And Jason, we have about a minute left or so much more we can talk about. But I want to jump off. You were talking about the U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, which replaced NAFTA under former President Trump. So how do you think this is going to play out with Sheinbaum, and how would it impact U.S. trade relations?
Well, she has said in interviews that she will support in 2026 continuing this agreement. And it is in the U.S. national interest to keep this trade deal going and, in fact, expanding it. Remember, problems in these countries, if we don't attack them at the root, and that means with free enterprise, with private property, rule of law, become problems at our border. We talked about that before on your show about Nicaragua, Guatemala, Central America. We've seen in El Salvador, when President Bukele has taken a tough stance on crime, immigration, illegal immigration eventually will curb and will slow. So we have to work together to build markets. It's important. The Mexican people are great people. They're a Catholic nation. It's going to be interesting to see how this translates into effective policy. She has not been tested at that level yet. So it's one thing to say certain things on the campaign trail. It's quite another to govern. And we have to see if this centralization of power, because that's very important to watch. They're trying to consolidate power under one central government. And that, I don't want to minimize it. These folks have a tendency to push leftist agenda. So I'm also concerned about religious freedom. So we do have to focus on that as well. But ultimately, yes, those trade deals are very important, and we have to continue them. She has said she wants to continue them, but we have to wait and see when she's in office.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for weighing in. Always appreciate your analysis. God bless.
Thank you for having us, Tracy. God bless.